There was a time in my life when I could not see reality. For over 20 years, I viewed my entire existence through the blurry lens of active alcoholism. Each and every one of my actions, where I went, who I hung out with, what I spent my money on, when I ate, when I slept, when I woke up, was controlled by alcohol. Everything determined by my drinking. In the final days of my drinking, I had to choke down a beer before I could eat anything each day. My thoughts, clouded and dull, struggled to solidify in the haze of booze. My emotions were out of control, a bladed pendulum swinging wildly between hubris and self-loathing, drunkenly hacking my spirit into smaller and smaller pieces. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, I was exceedingly unhealthy. My family, friends, and coworkers watched my alcoholism progress and get worse and worse each year. Many expressed their concern about my drinking to me, but I was not having it. I would be fine if all these clueless squares would just get off my goddamn back and leave me the fuck alone. It's been over a decade since my last drink, and looking back on that period of my life through sober eyes is like watching a horror movie starring my mentally ill doppelganger as the main character. He stumbles drunkenly through a nonsensical plot, doing all sorts of bizarre and distasteful things as he wreaks havoc on everything and everyone around him. Obviously, I know that person was me, but at times I struggle to understand my old self. It seems utterly ludicrous that I allowed the consumption of a cheap fermented liquid packaged in 12-ounce aluminum cans and readily available at any corner convenience store to define my existence. But that was indeed the case. How could I not see what I was doing to myself? Why on earth would I keep staggering down such a horrible path for so long? Because my perspective was all fucked up. That's how. That's why. I allowed my drinking to warp my perspective to the point that I no longer had an accurate view of reality, much less any idea how to exist within it. When I could no longer run away from the painful truth of my alcoholism, I put down the bottle and my life began to resemble that of a relatively sane human being. However, having viewed existence through the bottom of a beer glass for so long, my newfound sobriety didn't instantly transform me into a well-adjusted person. To start seeing the world through rational eyes, I had to learn new ways of thinking, of managing my emotions. Before I could do that, I had to understand which of my habits and beliefs were harmful and needed to be discarded. I had to get honest with myself about myself, and that meant looking in the mirror and asking some uncomfortable questions. As a teenager growing up in the 1980s punk rock scene, I'd learned the importance of questioning everything: society, the system, and especially all manner of authority figures. And I maintain that skeptical attitude to this day. My angry refusal to blindly conform to the suffocating social mores and materialistic values so widely celebrated during that hideous era of excess was legitimate. That way of living wasn't for me then, and it isn't for me now. But even though I was a pretty smart kid, I was still just a kid. As such, I tended to conveniently ignore, and foolishly still do at times, the obvious fact that contained within the everything that I constantly questioned were myself and my own beliefs. And unexamined, self-righteous, reactionary beliefs are inherently shallow, no matter how cool they look in a spiked leather jacket, or today, paraded around in the insipid costume of an internet meme.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.